Hey everybody, welcome to Crackback Tuesday, number 137 on the Mana Leak. I'm John as always, and we've got ourselves another pack of Rivals of Ixalan. We're going to crack it, we're going to see what's in it, and we're going to see what we would take pack one, pick one, if this was a draft. Up first, we've got ourselves a Spirewinder. Spirewinder is 3 and a blue for a creature snake. It's got flying, it's a 2/3, and if you have the City's Blessing, it's actually a 3/4. Totally fine blue card. Blue decks want to play these and feel pretty okay with the blue-white flyers, especially. I don't think you want to super go in on these. I don't think I'd play 3, but I'd probably play the second one almost always, but it's a pretty low pick, so not going to stay in frame. Up next is Brazen Freebooter, 3 and a red for a creature, human pirate. It's a 3/3, and when it comes into the battlefield, you get yourself a treasure. 4 mana for a 3/3 is just really expensive, even if you do get a 1 mana rebate. You'll be okay playing this card, but it's pretty 23rd-ish. You can cut it and feel pretty okay with that cut. Certainly not a first pick. Up next is Sun Sentinel. Sun Sentinel is 1 and a white for a creature, human soldier. It's a 2/2 with vigilance. Yeah, the days of 2/2s for 2 vanilla are well behind us. This is a 2/2 vigilance for 2, which is always playable, 100% playable, very not first pickable. You're looking at this in the middle of the pack or later, but you're going to play probably every copy you have just because it's nice and aggressive, and it also blocks and chumps blocks later in the game while still attacking. So not staying in frame, but a nice enough card. Naturalize is up next. It's 1 and a green for an instant. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Pure sideboard card. If you are in green and this is the last green card in the pack, you're going to feel pretty happy about that. But you're never going to main deck this card, or at least you shouldn't be. But out of the sideboard, it can feel amazing. Up next is Moment of Craving, another 2-drop, 1 and a black for an instant. Target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. You gain 2 life. This is a whole lot of stuff for 2 mana. Killing an X2, which, you know, there are 3 mana X2s. I think there's some 4 mana X2s. Killing those, or even killing them in combat, screwing up combat, etc., plus gaining 2 life. Moment of Craving is just fantastic. It's not unconditional removal. Obviously, it does have to be used in combat or against an X2, but kills a lot of stuff, plus that 2 life is nice. So it's going to stay in frame as a very first pickable card. Continuing the 2 mana cards, we've got Aggressive Urge, 1 and a green for an instant. Target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Draw a card. Totally fine combat trick. Does not obviously kill things like Moment does, but it can kill things in combat. It can save your creatures from burn, and it does cycle itself, so it is fine. It's a combat trick you'll always be okay playing, but you're not going out of your way to first pick it. Up next is Traveler's Amulet. Traveler's Amulet is a single generic mana for an artifact. Pay a single generic mana and sacrifice it to go and find a basic land and put it into your hand. If you're splashing, you are going to want a Traveler's Amulet. You're going to feel pretty good with a Traveler's Amulet. But if you are not splashing, you probably don't play this. It technically thins your deck, but boy, it sucks to open up a 1-lander with this in your hand, and you don't quite get your second land, and then your second turn is entirely spent just going and getting a land. It doesn't smooth your deck. It doesn't thin your deck the way you want it to. But if you are splashing, it's a pretty good pickup. Nowhere near a first pick. Martyr of Dusk is up next. It's 1 and a white for a creature, Vampire Soldier. It's a 2/1, and when it dies, it makes a 1/1 with lifelink. Martyr of Dusk is really good. 2/1s for 2 are, slightly not great. They're called pikers usually after Goblin Piker, but one that dies and makes a 1/1, and trust me, 2/1s die a lot, is pretty solid, especially with that 1/1 having lifelink. Martyr of Dusk is just a really, really solid white common creature. It's one of the better ones, possibly the best. I can't think of one that's better than it at the moment, but it might just be one of the best. Probably not a first pick still, but a relatively high pick. You're looking at this maybe, I don't know, 4th-ish and feeling pretty good about it. Up next is Dark Inquiry, and I keep hitting the tripod. Sorry about that. Dark Inquiry is 2 and a black for a sorcery. Target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. We talked about this card last week. We talked about a few of these cards last week, actually. You'll play this in Sealed, and you'll feel okay about it because Sealed's slower. Your opponents tend to play 5-drops and 6-drops and 7-drops they may not be playing in Draft. In Draft, you don't main deck this generally, perhaps if you're super controlling, I guess, but you can side it in if you're up against something you just can't deal with, a planeswalker or etc., and cast this the turn before your opponent can cast the thing you're afraid of. Not a first pick, though. Our final common is Soul of the Rapids. Soul of the Rapids is 3 blue for a creature elemental. It's a 3/2. It's got flying. It's got hexproof. We talked about this last week. It's pretty darn good when it comes down, and if it gets enchanted, it can be really hard to deal with. But being 3 blue, it doesn't always come down quite soon enough to save you or to win you the game. But it is still good. It's never really a first pick, but if you're heading towards the blue-white Flyers plan, it's going to do some work for you. Our first uncommon is Slippery Scoundrel. Slippery Scoundrel's 2 and a blue for a creature human pirate. It's a 2/2, and that's it, unless you have the City's Blessing, at which point this becomes a pair of invisible stalkers stapled to each other. They get hexproof and they get unblockable. Yeah, Slippery Scoundrel can be obnoxious if it gets turned on, and if it doesn't, it's an overcosted 2/2, and that's unfortunate because the fail state on this is a really bad creature. The win state is really good. If you know that you can get to Ascend, this gets pretty good. You could arguably take this and build around it. I don't know that I'd really want to do that, though. Ultimately, I haven't been as terrified of Slippery Scoundrel as I was worried that I was going to be in the set review. So for now, I don't think I'd first pick it over Moment of Craving, and so it can stay out of frame. Reckless Rage is up next. Reckless Rage is a single red mana for an instant. Reckless Rage deals 4 damage to target creature you don't control and 2 damage to target creature you do control. A single mana instant speed 4 damage is insane. This is so good. And if you are playing X3s, X4s, X5s, X6s, this is just straight up 4 damage for 1 mana and nothing bad happening to you. Maybe even good stuff happening to you if you're hitting an enraged creature. If you are playing 2/1s, etc., you are sacking a creature to deal 4, which is still generally pretty okay. Bone Splinters at instant speed is something I'd like to see. I've been very happy with Reckless Rage. I would first pick it in many packs, and it would compete with Moment of Craving. You know what blows the pack up, though? That is Ravenous Chupacabra. Ravenous Chupacabra is 2 black for a creature, Beast Horror. It's a 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, kill something. Yeah, Ravenous Chupacabra is just quite possibly the best non-rare card in the entire set and better than many of the rares. There's not much to talk about there. It's just really good. And it is better than this rare, Arch of Rasca. Arch of Rasca is a land that you tap for colorless mana. If you have the City's Blessing, you can pay 5 and tap it to draw a card. That's not something you do in Draft. Really? You don't get to the City's Blessing plus have 5 mana that you want to do nothing with other than draw a single card. 6 mana technically because you're tapping this land. Yeah, Arch of Rasca, sealed, maybe. Draft, have not enjoyed it, and it certainly doesn't compete with what we have here, which is Ravenous Chupacabra. Kind of like Battle for Zendikar, where Oblivion Strike just won every single crack-a-pack ever. Ravenous Chupacabra is going to win basically every crack-a-pack that it's ever in. If you disagree, let me know. If you would have taken the Rage or the Craving, or you really like the Arch, let me know in the comments down below. But it seems to me like Chupacabra is the clear pick. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me on Twitter at @TheManaLeak. That's L-E-E-K, like the vegetable, not the card. You can also find me at Facebook.com/TheManaLeak, Twitch.tv/TheManaLeak, and Patreon.com/TheManaLeak. If you like the content, click that thumbs up button. Click subscribe if you want to see more. And if you do have questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, see y'all next time.